Yeah, you bet I'm going to hate on this book. Just don't. That's a bad sign. And I hated it. No, just no. And it was utterly boring. I've recommended you more than 100 books this year. Books that I think are worth a read. But that does mean you don't often hear me hate on books on this channel. But today is different. This is the one day that I will allow myself to be a bit of a Grinch. This is the day we make the video about the worst books that I read in 2023. Now, as always, I will be linking all of the books I talk about down below so you can make up your own mind. First one up, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Fourth Wing. Yeah, you bet I'm going to hate on this book. Now, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros is a book I didn't entirely hate. There are redeeming elements that will make a decent fantasy. I said decent, not good. But can we please agree that we're done with this romantasy nonsense in 2024? I mean, I don't mind people reading romance. It's not for me, but hey, you do you. But stop trying to shove your romance into my preferred genres. I mean, what's next? Poirot and Hastings hit it off after they solved the murder? Roman mystery? Fourth Wing was a half-decent fantasy, but the more that I hear about the sequel Iron Flame, the less I'm inclined to pick it up. So yeah, for me, Fourth Wing didn't quite scratch that itch, so let's all just agree to stop being hysterical about these books. I know a lot of people love it, I know a lot of people are hysterical about it, but let's be honest, is it really that good? Next one up, Remainders of the Day by Shaun Bythell. Now, this is a story about the life as a bookstore owner of the author somewhere in a very remote village in Scotland where nothing happens. So in the book, nothing happens. You get this diary style of each day complaining about customers, doing snarky comments about the internet trade, you know, just being a bit of an ass. And it is fun the first few pages, but after a few days into the book, you're kind of not interested anymore in the nothingness that happens. I mean, the most exciting thing about each day in this book is how much the cash register contains at the end of the day. And yes, that is a detail that is included every day. So yeah, for me, Remainders of the Day by Shaun Bythell was as interesting as watching paint dry. So not a book I would recommend. I think it is a waste of your time. Just don't. And then number 3, a Korean bestseller. And I hated it. It is I Want to Die But Eat Tteokbokki by an author whose name I will not even try to pronunciate because you guys will get into the comments and tell me I did it wrong. So yeah, a Korean bestseller that is now translated and marketed as a intriguing mix between a self-help book and an autobiography. Now, this book at the best times bored me out of my mind and at the worst times made me feel very, very icky. It is basically a literary transcription of the sessions the author has with her therapist. And we don't belong there. As a reader, we have no business being there and no business reading about this. Yes, you can see it as some kind of testimonial, I guess, that others might find inspiration in. I just didn't. This book made me feel like a voyeur and I DNF'd it. I had no business being there and I just shelved it and that was it. I have no idea who this book is trying to help, but it certainly wasn't me. And then we have a New York Times bestseller. And I have learned that if a book claims to be a New York Times bestseller, that's a bad sign. It is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco de Mellors. Now, I wanted to love this book. I really thought this book was going to be for me. Turns out it wasn't. I read like 60-70% through this book before I DNF'd it because nothing really happens. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a slow-paced, very character description type of book. I mean, I've read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin and I liked it. To me, the best character in this book was New York City itself. All of the others can sod right off. The one thing the book did right for me was it feels very today. There's a lot of words, but nothing really happens. Cleopatra and Frankenstein? No, just no. Number 6, another big name, a very well-known author, and this book is a cash grab. I'm talking about Demon in the Woods by Leigh Bardugo. It is a graphic novel, and there you can find the one redeeming quality for this book. The artwork is gorgeous. And that's it. The story is lackluster at best. It is supposed to be the backstory for the Darkling, one of the main characters, the main villain from the Grishaverse, and it is all about how he became who he is. Now, even when I read this one for the first time, it felt like I had read it 10 times over already. It lacks inspiration. It lacks originality. It is a story that I could have come up with in an afternoon just by summarizing some popular books or TV films. Yes, it is a beautiful book, it has beautiful artwork, it looks the part, and it will be somewhere prominent on my shelf, being the pretty little airhead that it is. Next one up is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. Now, listen. I'm an Agatha Christie fan, so you don't come into this house with this nonsense about how her characters, like Hercule Poirot, are incapable of any emotions. Have you ever heard him rave and rant? Yes, this is not a biography, yes, this is fiction, but don't you badmouth one of my idols. Yes, I know it is fiction, but it was boring fiction. And on top of that, if you put an entry in the book claiming that you're an Agatha Christie expert, then at least get your facts right. The premises was promising. This book speculates about the 10 days of disappearing that Agatha Christie once did after finding out that her husband had a lover. There was even the interesting promise to see a part of that story from the point of view of said lover. There was so much potential, and it was utterly boring. This book just felt like it was using the name of Agatha Christie and the mystery around her disappearance to mask that there isn't much going on. It is a boring, confused story, and I didn't like it. And if you have a problem with that, get into the comments. And then let's talk about Spare by Prince Harry. This book is delusional. I must say it is quite a feat that when you have someone read your book, someone like me, who has no interest whatsoever in the bickering of royalty, who will not pick any side in this conflict, and after I read your book, made me go, Prince Harry is a complete lunatic and I understand his brother now. This book is delusional. And he even says it himself. At one point, he says everything in this book might not have happened for real, but it is the way I remembered it, so it is the truth. That's not how biographies work. The worst thing is that he engaged a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist to write this nonsense. It is a stark raving mad rant from a drug addict who happens to be royalty. And there you have it. Rant over. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And what was the worst book that you've read this year? Let me know and we'll talk books some more. And if you don't know what to comment but you still want to support this video, then why not comment a fire emoji? Because most of these books are dumpster fires. That was it for this week. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Do give us a like, do subscribe, do leave a comment, because all of those help the channel. In the meantime, if you need some books that are actually worth reading, you can always go here.